here's another thing, just to switch it up a little bit, right? Because we spoke about all the sitcoms we mentioned and that representation on TV of what black families do really look like.
Right.
Like it wasn't just single moms raising black kids running around in the street. There was families like
Family Matters.
yeah, right. There was Family Matters families in the Cosby shows or My Wife and Kids. I love that show. What was the other one? We talked about it a couple days ago.
That's family.
Right, all these shows. Right, you got the girl, Father's a Judge. Jamie Foxx. They own the hotel. Right, but nowadays we have black representation on TV or these subscription-based platforms, but do they depict the type of lifestyle we want
That's
to
the
be
whole
shown?
thing. So, and then the dissecting.
Because I don't watch Insecure, but what pops up on the timeline the most is she doing some things that I might not want people who are in other countries, who the first time they might see a black person be the first impression of.
We shy away from that type of thing.
The reality of it, yeah.
There's some gems.
Yeah, because here's my thing. So what Insecure is what it is, like third season. So let's go back to season 1, right? Insecure, Atlanta, and Queen Sugar all dropped either the same day or the same week, right? So you have 3 of the most blackest TV shows that I've ever seen depicting 3 very different black experiences. Like, I think Atlanta's one of the greatest shows I've seen in like the last 15, 20 years. Like just the depictions of blackness is vastly different. The authenticity of it, right? Very different than what's happening in Queen Sugar, which is an amazingly written, well done show. Ava DuVernay, Oprah, right? Yeah, and then like the cinematography, like all of that. And then you have Issa Rae's show out in LA, like 3 vastly different, authentic perspectives. Like in Atlanta, like it's not all beautiful. Like it's some really difficult things that they cover in that show. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I think it is too? Like these shows with Issa Rae and stuff like that, like you got black women and black people who are expressive at who they are and people like it. And I think that it's
acceptable.
It's acceptable, you know, and I feel like corporate media is realizing that we shouldn't be afraid to accept black people for who they are. Like if we accept them for who they are, like if we would have been accepting them for who they are, then it's like things would be good. Like if you think about like hip hop, right? Hip hop is mainly black. It's a black music industry, right? And that's like kind of the place where I feel like black people they can be the most expressive that they can be, and still get paid for it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like to me, I love it. You know, like there's parts of hip hop that it's like I don't like the mumble rap kind of stuff. You know, like them like you know promoting like you know lean and all of that stuff. But if you think about like black communities, that's really what it's about, bro. Like you grow up in like the hood, like there's only drugs, there's only alcohol, there's only violence. And it's like, it's a harsh reality, but that's just what life is that we know, that we grew up around.
Hip hop is a social political movement. It's always been. It's always been from, you know, the message from like in the 70s, like it's always been that. It's always represented what's happening on the ground from the ground level.
I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here too, because like what you said, like you know the things there's a lot of different representation, but as you know, like where I live a lot is a very, very, very like tight and critical lens on what it is that they're showing us, which is why like they'll be showing us a lot of black stories, like you said, the type of black people that are accepted to the dominant society versus not, which is why chances are if you see most like black women and like, all right, let's think about Power, like probably one of the like more prominent black shows out. Yeah, you have a heterosexual black man with a black wife and a black family, but he at every single day and every single chance he risks that fundamental core for a woman who looks nothing like his wife and in a career in a hustle that has put his family in jeopardy at every single chance. And anytime he tries to focus on the club, which is the one thing, everybody around him, including his black wife, is telling him, you need to stop all this shit, you need to get back to hustling and this and that and that. Then another thing is like, we're gonna get a lot of representations of black people. What they want to see, especially with the black man, is they don't really want to see you with a black wife. They really don't want to see you with a black wife and child and promoting like that family unit. They really don't want to see it.
So that's what I'm saying. Is it enough that we're on TV?
No, it's not. That's why
So
I live.
so we should be on
It's the
TV and
specificity of those narratives.
right.
That's what
So we
it
should be
is.
on TV and the right narrative.
Right, and that's why it's some of us get lost into that whole like we've arrived. It's on TV, so therefore there's no problems.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we here, but how are you showing us? You know,
We're
like
still not like Anthony said. Anthony said we aren't controlling it. You know, and if you're not controlling it, they'll take a little piece and say, all right, you should be satisfied. We put you on TV, but we're still controlling what people see.
But let's take it a step further.
There's no black people in that writing room.
Right.
Exactly.
But even the ones who are,
Exactly.
there's another thing we got to talk about. Are the ones that are black people in these positions of power, are they thinking 100% black?
So devil's advocate on top of devil's advocate.
Right.
when is it enough though? All right. So look, we got to get on TV.
Right.
It got to be the right narratives. We got to be the writers. We got to be the owners. Like, and if we get all of that, there's probably going to be something more that certain groups of people ask for. Like, when is it? So when is it enough?
That's the thing. It's just life. It's just forever. It's never enough. The Hollywood industry has been around for what 100 plus years. Like
It's an
so,
institution.
they've had their times to go through their progressions and show their people in many different facets.
Right.
And we gotta
We gotta
get in the
Can't
door.
remember.
I personally think now's the time.
Right. Now's the
Yeah.
time.
We can't be static.
Because like a lot of these companies, like a lot of cable companies are now merging with telecommunications companies just to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like the old media companies are now kind of
It's
like
dying.
and now on-demand media is kind of coming up.
Yeah.
You know? So I think if there's still always going to be the giants who control everything. That's just the way
Time
it is.
Warner.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
exactly, that's always
Disney's
going to be around.
Yeah.
But we have an opportunity now
Just kind of
to
circle.
build some new ABCs, some new all of that has to happen now, and I see it. I mean, I'm optimistic about it personally because I think when you look at even at Instagram, some of these creators on Instagram, they gotta figure out a way to take that off of the gram and create something for themselves or something like that.
But I think a lot of that goes back to our buying power. Because I've been saying this for a while. If you want to make them listen, you have to hit them in the pocketbook. Like that's that's a long-term saying. Like we don't look at our financial situation and say that we have much more control than we think, but we don't funnel our money the way we need to speak for us. Because you can have as many people as you want in a boardroom, and usually there's only one of color, and that person has adapted to that culture because they're afraid to speak up
Right. And be cast out.
I
And
think
so
there's a long-standing issue there, and in terms like that buying power thing, because in 2018 there's no unified black consciousness, right? And I mean that in comparison to like let's say the civil rights movement, where there was a collective consciousness because there was this overarching thing that no matter where your designation or your status was in life, we were all fighting collectively towards this one thing.
People don't realize how,
social media.
Without social media, right?
All
So
these
like
people
civil
together.
rights, justice,
not only that,
Jim
people
Crow.
don't realize how long some of those protests were.
Right.
Because we'll say, don't shop on Black Friday, or don't go to Chicken and Waffles.
And Waffle House.
Waffle House.
Yeah.
And that might be for like
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
But
maybe
then-
a week, but they were protesting.
And it felt protests, like
shut down
right.
bus
The
companies.
bus
Yeah,
yo,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Like
Right.
they
For
tried,
long.
Yeah.
they really hit
They
them in their
sacrificed,
pocket.
yeah.
And refused
And
to
refused.
take
budge.
any
They
type
walked.
of bus. They walked. They started
made-
cab companies.
exactly.
All that.
And it worked.
And it
worked.
because because there was a unified consciousness.
But it's what
There's also
happened.
leadership.
Yes.
Right.
It's
And
what
we can
happened
riff
after.
on this like
Right.
all day. So I think today, like we're still dismantling a lot of like systemic things that affected why in the ways we move and the way we move as a community today.
Right. Absolutely.
Because it's like, yo, how do we, because like us in this room right here, we can get on the same page and be like, yo, this is what we need to do collectively, like as a community, right?
Right.
It still might be one or two institutions that have been, cause that's what I'm about to say, because really, and this might get to the more darker nitty gritty of this type of discussion, but it's just like, same, but it's just like, we all would talk about, because one thing my issue with it is to come to like a lot of our people is like, we all like to idolize about a time when we were in power, but no one seems to want to do the things that we did when we were in
Yeah.
power. because there's certain things that just didn't happen. We talk about the civil rights movement and where we were and like all the things that we were doing, but people don't really like to think about the two movements that came directly at that point that dismantled it, and that was people, white women telling them like, yo, listen, you're oppressed at home. You need to start going against your husband. You need to come join us in this feminism wave and come do this. And then after that, you had so many sisters leaving the civil rights movement, which was always mother, father, child. We're here together. We're fighting the establishment. But you had this whole community of white women who have historically, rightfully been treated terribly by their men, like terribly. Then we were in a situation when we were in control by their men, and we started treating our women the way that they treat their women, and learning all that. But no, we don't want to focus on that. We just want to and then go and join their crusades. And then now is when you start throwing things in. You start trying to unify black people. Like, hold on, but what about the gays? But what about the feminists? But what about this? Or what about that? So that's why it's just all boom, boom, this. Now there's some black people over here who want to do this. Oh, but they don't do this, and I do this. Then you got other people over here, but they do this, and I don't do this. So you start throwing things in, then the conversation is no longer black. Then you throw in a situation whereas, we need to start focused on other people's struggles when ours still ain't finished. Right. Other people have focused. There's other people have gone through discrimination. Everyone's gone through discrimination. Everyone's gone through some prejudice. But who else has gone through dehumanization? I can't think of any demographic, anyone who has ever been through, like, you're not even a human being. You are. Another reason why, all these people, like, in the law still today, all these cop killings, everybody's wondering why no one gets done. It's a Dred Scott case that says, like, black people are not citizens of this country, therefore they are not protected by our laws. And it's still in there. You can look it up, Dred versus Dred v. Scott. It's still there. And that's the reason why we're not even considered human beings, and we got to stop our stuff. Why? Because we think we're okay because we got a couple shows on TV, because we got a Black Panther movie, which if you want to dissect it, the Black Panther movie was better as a political statement than it was as a comic book movie. And as a comic book fan, I'll play him, be the first to tell you that. I've rewatching it like as many times as I have. I'm like, yo. Now that I've calmed down from all the hype of it and the movement, I'm sitting here dissecting it as a movie theater, as a superhero fan. Like, I'm just like, yo, this movie left a lot to be desired. Like, it's probably like 2 good fight scenes and all of it, and it's just like, hold on. But it was so important for the whole. At that time, I wasn't gonna be the one talking about, man, Black Panther was not me, not now.
And they dropped it in February,
right? What?
Yo,
right? And you gonna say, man, tell me that they didn't know what they was doing by doing that? By having him sitting in the same Huey Newton chair, the same thing, like they didn't know what they was doing. They know more about history than we do.
It was strategic, but also too, I think a lot of that has to do with and it goes back to the civil rights movement, and I think the things that have happened in between that time. And it's just like we feel like we've arrived. So we talk about, okay, we see this show on TV now, we see that show, and we see that movie, and we become complacent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we say, okay, we've made it, but so what? Now what?
Right, exactly.
And we get lost in that. Now what's next? Part of it.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And all of that could be daunting to try to get that unification back and say, like, we got like all of this outside white noise is like, damn. How do we get back to a point of that time, like civil rights, where we were so unified as a people to where we are now? It's like, damn, how do we get back to that? Are we going to get back to that? Right. Is it going to change? How does that?
I don't know. But here's the one thing I think we can get back to, because the one big falsehood I think in life is this whole thing of like mass black unification. There was never a point at any point in history where all black people got along with all black people. Even when we were the only people on the planet, it was all tribal.
It's tribe.
Y'all do what y'all do over here. We do what we do over here. Sometimes we gonna clash. But then you created a common enemy who is just like, yo, listen, we coming here to take all of y'all got, because we have to.
And that changed everything.
And kind of piggybacks to what you said with the whole complacency is like, I think that's like kind of like comes down to like a genetic disposition thing, is because when you fear genetic inferiority and everything you've ever gotten has been by the ways of conquest, you can't ever take your foot off the pedal. Because if you ever take your foot off the pedal, you let the natural order to come. Because without supremacy, you can't. Because one, the sun gives life to everything on the planet. You're allergic to the sun. What are you talking about, bro? Who are you better than? Who are you? Like, you can't sit in the sun without being poisoned. and it gives life to everything. Your genetics is sick, it's things like, so if you let nature and you don't do none of that backhanded scheming, conquest, murdering, raping, pillage, how long are you gonna last and how long are you gonna be empowered? So you have to keep, it doesn't occur to our minds to do some of the things that have occurred to the minds of a person whose ancestors have come from an ice age. Our ancestors come from paradises. We have naturally happy dispositions. You hungry? Go to a fruit, go to a tree, eat it. You know, you gotta feed a baby. Oh, the same way you feed yourself. You got a house, the baby got a house. So on the other hand is, it's an ice age. I'm hungry. Some gotta die for me to eat. You feel me?
Black people, historically and culturally, we're also communal people.
Yeah,
Black
exactly.
Black people aren't naturally communal people.
They're not.
They're hunter-gatherers in a very different way.
Survivalists.
They're survivalists in a way where, for us, the matriarch of our family, our moms, Big Mama, community, right? Yeah, it contain everything. And we are historically
communal people.
We're communal people. So so that in itself is one of the larger reasons why we don't succeed largely in a capitalistic reality, right? Because how can you be a capitalist when you're communal?
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
And so that is the long-standing internal struggle, whereas white majority of America, they excel at it in a way because they will sell their mother to get this thing. Right?
Yes.
So they're able to exalt and be at this place financially because the mindset is different. Not saying that it's better or wrong for us. It's just that for us, we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my man on. I'm gonna take the MC Hammer route. You know what I'm saying? So that is the balance or the imbalance in being communal and then also trying to succeed in a capitalist world.
Right.
It's difficult.
And it's kind of it's almost like oxymoronic because capitalism is almost so individual as a thing. Yes. And in order to make the money, you have to make the money off of your community, but your community is not interested in giving you no money because you're going to be better than me. If I give you my money, you're going to be better than me. But as a capitalist like me, I run a vegan food service. Until I could every day go to Williamsburg, come out here and sell to white people all day if I want to, but I value the dollars of my people because I know there's a spending power. Back when Malcolm X was talking about it, was 15 trillion when Malcolm was talking about it. Imagine what it is now. You feel me? So it's really, that one just blew my whole disposition, right? It's so true. It's almost
that's
how do you even
one of
go
the
about
issues,
doing that?
Right? And I don't think that's wrong, per se, but I just know that's how we operate and function as a community of people. Right. And so we talk about trying to get on or get over and trying to exist in this world where capitalism is that is supremacy.
Playing by rules we're not genetically predisposed to playing with. We don't have the propensity for evil and chaos the way that other people do.
So how do you win then?
Wait, hold on.
You might have to compromise.
What is winning if I'm not willing to kill?
That's what I'm gonna say. I feel like black people are a community of people where we're really strong, but at the same time, black people are also neck and neck to try to be the top dog. And you got to think about that. When it comes to let's say if maybe a person may not be your friend, right? But you see a black person doing good.
You gotta let Anthony go. He got check, man.
I wasn't gonna stop you. He stopped you. I was gonna let you rock.
I was gonna pause after him, but then I want to let this.
I kind of got to approach.
I want to respect your time.
Yo,
I appreciate it.
This was.
I knew it was gonna happen.
Do this again?
It's like
part 54 minutes. I knew it was gonna happen.
Part two
is something,
but it had to happen though.
Yeah,
it gotta happen more often.
I like this a lot.
I'm glad we had as much time as we put in.
I mean, you got some juice here.
I know.
It's a lead-in.
I would like some of your information because, I'm gonna give you my card in the meantime, so you can hit me up.
For sure.
I need clients. I run a vegan food service.
Yeah, man.
You know.
I'm gonna see you next week.
God damn, brother.
I'll take a picture of it. I'll take a picture of it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'll take a picture of it.
Nah, I gave him my last one.
No.
Oh yeah, the mic. I'm
gonna get you.
I know. I'm trying to get. Can you see, bro? I can't see, bro. I'm bunny and top button.
Yo, and kind of to answer your question, I think, at least for myself, because you got to think, right, once again, black people we're always never in a position where there's more of us, right? So we are naturally pitted against each other.
Absolutely.
So whether this is the system or this is the industry, but it's always in the back of our mind that if I'm in this predominantly white corporate space, and then I see you come, and then if I, you know, I take you under my wing, right? In the back of my mind, am I thinking like, yo, he's gonna take my spot?
Right, encroaching,
right,
yes,
right,
on my territory.
The community does.
But they have so much of them in power.
Yeah.
They can play that
They-
offense.
right,
to
but
be
when
like,
did
The
They
nepotism
have
is
the
different.
start.
The
They have the
nepotism
start.
is different there, right? Because it's they're running it.
But can we be optimistic and say that there's actually a shift in consciousness happening? And I think there is.
Yes.
How long is
Yeah.
it? I don't know. I'm 28. How long is it happening?
All right, bro. Nice to meet you, man.
Yo, nice to meet you.
Definitely would love to talk to you more about
Meet you in
that.
person.
Yeah, man, for sure.
For a minute, bro.
What is it? Right.
yeah.
Let's-
A lot of
It's happening. It's happening now, but it's not
for
based
sure,
on
for sure. A lot of ways. A lot of us are still fighting for institutions that are murder for our community. Like, you got people out here still fighting for Planned Parenthood without knowing, like, their purpose in life is to kill us. They got recordings talking about, yo, niggas doing undercover, like, hey, listen, I would like to make a donation to make sure that a black baby doesn't get born, specifically a black man. She's like, yeah, sure, no problem. How much you want to give? Other things they talking about, I want to do, like, how much for this organ? She's like, is it $250? Like, $2,000. That was our price like 20 years ago. Like, hold on, what? This is Planned Parenthood, but yet you got all the feminists and everybody talking about we need more Planned Parenthood. They'll stop fighting for shit that's going to destroy your people. So yeah, they're giving us more consciousness, but a lot of it is displaced, and we end up championing causes that's gonna lead to our demise. And like that shit gotta stop, bro. Yo, good brothers. Yo,
All right, bro. Nice
you
to
got
meet
all
you.
the stuff to continue editing, right? Or you got
I'm probably not gonna edit.
We're taking a natural pause.
Okay,
So we're
great,
taking a
yo.
natural pause
Yo,
Yo,
please,
it's nice to meet you.
I'll definitely
For sure.
get some documentary.
For sure.
because
Yeah,
time to pee again.
Good meeting
I'm the only one that had a cocktail, and you know, it's. I'll be right back.